Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Jnana Murtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha in Upashama Prakarana, section 58. Sage Vasishtha continues. The previous section concluded with this particular statement. This entire universe is nothing but Brahman, who is self-effulgent, full of bliss, indivisible, homogeneous, free from beginning and end, and supremely peaceful. These are your highlighted names. The real you is Brahman. How do you remember that name? Now allow your mind to go through various ways of looking at Brahman. The Vedic terms used for Brahman. First, self-effulgent, Swayam Prakash. For allegorical understanding, all illuminations on this earth, when the sun is not there, are artificial illuminations. Those illuminations are not called self-effulgent. Sun shines by its own light, allegorically. The world you experience by using different lights. First light you use, senses. That senses do not give you complete revelation. Because they themselves are dependent upon mind. So they are not self-effulgent. So senses operate on the basis of how your mind is. Mind in turn is not self-effulgent. Mind depends upon intellect and ego. And your intellect ego aspect is not also self-effulgent. To depend upon the deeper unconscious source. The unconscious source behind your intellect, ego is implied, called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Source is cosmic. That intelligence that is guiding all things of this world. The intelligence behind the sun, moon, stars, all the trees, human beings, all birds and animals, and all your experiences in three planes. Experience in the world of practical reality, experience led by your feelings, experience led by your understanding. All these are illumined by the self. And that self doesn't need any other illumination. It's self-effulgent. Swayam Prakash. Full of bliss. Another point, Ananda. The mind relaxes. You talk to your mind in a cozy way. You mind, you want to be really happy. Then be little humble. Receive instructions from experience of sages. Just don't go wild looking for happiness. And what do the sages say? For the sake of self, all becomes dear. And your happiness and what appears dear, they are synonyms. So, what is dearest to you? That's first thing to understand. If you find that, you have all the happiness. If you have not found that, then you are just hoping for happiness in a helpless manner. Then the question arises, who am I? The understanding of the self. But first thing must be, you must have a clear understanding. You must secure your existence in order to connect yourself with things that you consider source of happiness. If you yourself are not secure, then how can you secure any happiness? So turn your attention to a deeper revelation of who am I. And to the extent you become in tune with your inner self, to that extent you have real happiness. A tree is happy to the extent it is rooted. It is connected with its root. If it is connected, then all the wind, etc., can shake the tree. And the tree doesn't lose its happiness. Rather, enjoys it. So, this is another description of Brahman, full of bliss. Ananda Swarup, embodiment of bliss. Another, indivisible. Akhand. Anything that is divided called khand. Division, khand is also a very interesting term. Kha is akasha, expansion. Put the expansion into an and, into a little egg. So you have broke down the expansion by confining it to a little egg. But that will not happen with Brahman. Brahman cannot be confined to any limitation. You can have sun reflected in a jar and you can dupe a child. Look, I brought sun for you. And the child believes, yes, mother is so great. She twisted the sun, she twisted it and put it into the... So from child's point of view, sun has been divided, cut up. Similarly, mind, when it is childish, views so many souls, so many sources of light, but in reality, that light of lights, Brahman, is indivisible, cannot be divided, cannot be shortened, cannot be limited, cannot be restricted. Next, homogeneous. Sanskrit of ek ras. All that you experience through your mind, they are all multiple things. Just like you are interested in seeing the programs through your TV, they are not through your website, through your computer. So many things are important. So many things are there. But behind all those things, the simple source of energy. It is going through a little wire. And the wire doesn't know it. What I'm leading you to understand, behind all this multiple experiences led by your brain and nervous system. And behind brain and nervous system is the energy of your mind, chitta. And your mind is not your mind, is a cosmic mind. Your mind is not just independent. Human minds are little waves in the ocean of cosmic mind. So in fact, you cannot separate your mind from the cosmic mind. And when you come to that stage, even that mind term has no reality. All projections are in the realm of illusion. The reality is the screen. And the screen is pure awareness, consciousness. First thing to understand, that pure awareness, absolute. Without it, nothing can exist. You watch the cinema show, behind every image, behind every form, what is homogeneous? Screen. The screen has absolute homogeneity behind all that you are experiencing through the show. All that you experience in your dream, behind that, what is homogeneous? You. You are the one, your own experiencing, your consciousness has turned into dream experience. Your own consciousness is homogeneous. Whether in dream you are focused on only a scorpion or a snake or something very ugly or something very beautiful and something expansive, something far away. But behind all that, your own consciousness. Homogeneous, not 50% here, 10% there. So that is the reality, in spite of the fact Everyone struggles in the world of time-space causation, encountering countless variations day by day, hour after hour, and always viewing certain things are close to you, certain things are far away from you. God, oh, he's too far away. But that God is the underlying reality, homogeneous. And that's where you have to evolve to come to that revelation. Free from beginning and end. Beginning and end is as long as when you enter into the illusion of time, then time has its description in the form of beginning and middle. When you go to sleep and your mind moves away from you, what has happened to the time? You don't have awareness of time. Time, in fact, therefore, is not a reality. It is a created illusion created by thought waves of your mind. Watch a cinema show. It takes a good show, you don't know how the time passes. Bad show, you know every minute of it. Look for your popcorn. But both experiences, time is fleeting fast. Time is going very slowly. The very concept of time depends upon the mental process. The real you, the self, has nothing to do with time or space. And supremely peaceful, prashant, absolute peace. That's what we always say, shanti, shanti, shanti. Section 56, rather 58. Vasishtha continued, O Rama, I will relate to you an ancient story of a great king and the manner in which he attained spiritual enlightenment. Vasishtha continued, O Rama, I will relate to you an ancient story of a great king and the manner in which he attained spiritual enlightenment. Once upon a time, on the foot of the Kailasha mountains, there lived a wild tribe known as Hemajuta. They were ruled by an illustrious king, Suraghu by name. He was generous and valiant, and vanquished his enemies even as the sun vanquishes darkness. He tirelessly engaged himself in the performance of his various duties and amassed immense wealth for his country. All the details of the story really don't matter. What's being led through this story, Vasishtha is presenting the spiritual movement that leads the soul to liberation. First stage, practice of virtuous karmas, righteous deeds. If you are continuing to do all types of karmas, a channel does not open for practice of reflection. When virtuous karmas begin to dominate your mind, a channel opens. You begin to develop a mature way of looking at the world. So that's what happens to the king. King Suraghu, first stage, he was a great ruler. He ruled a big kingdom, the foot of the Kailasha mountains. There lived a wild tribe known as Hemajuta. They were ruled by an illustrious king, Suraghu by name. He was generous and valiant, and vanquished his enemies even as the sun vanquishes darkness. He tirelessly engaged himself in the performance of his various duties and amassed immense wealth for his country. As time passed, Vairagya dawned on him. He began to reflect thus. This is what I have been explaining. Good karmas give you the possibility of choosing the higher path, possibility of choosing between Shreya and Preya. Shreya, what will lead you to liberation. Preya, what just will give you good, comfortable, enjoyable life, but will not stop the cycle of birth and death. So that's being brought through the story of the king. As time passed, Vairagya dawned on him. He began to reflect thus. Why am I ruling over my subjects by the force of my arms? Why am I inflicting pain and sorrow in their hearts? Doesn't every living being feel pleasure and pain exactly like myself? Now the sensitivity develops. If good karmas have led you to have certain degree of purity in your mind, then your goal is not just to go on accumulating more wealth. Your goal becomes how to bring satisfaction in your heart. Your goal turns towards your deeper fulfillment. And so the question arises. First, you become sensitive that in order to maintain your wealth, you are inflicting pain on some people, or gifting pleasure to certain people. And you are not concerned with what exactly the people like. You are just imposing on them. Two ways of relationship. A relationship in which you have everything done to the person you love according to your sentiments, ignoring the sentiment and feeling of the person. Another, opening your heart to understand the person and really doing good to the person, and that gives you a deeper fulfillment. But to the masses, that stage is not easy to come to. So that when that sensitivity begins to develop, now your mind is opening itself to practice of vichar, inquiry. But before you come to that stage, certain qualifications have to develop within you. First one is called vairagya. He began to reflect thus, why am I ruling over subjects by the force of my arms? Why am I inflicting pain and sorrow? Doesn't every human being feel pleasure and pain exactly like myself? Should I continue to punish the criminals and reward the righteous? My mind doesn't find rest anywhere in this world. All my actions seem to be of no purpose. Thus did King Suraghu reflect within his mind again and again. One day, sage Mandavya arrived at the palace, and King Suraghu, having duly greeted and worshipped the sage, sought his spiritual guidance. Now what we are being pointed out, when good karmas open a channel, there also becomes the operation of grace. And the grace comes in 4 ways. Ishwar Kripa, God's grace. Atma Kripa, first Ishwar Kripa is the highlight, is the big umbrella. Since Ishwar Kripa has started, it allows in your own heart an interest to attain enlightenment. That interest wouldn't have come unless the grace was there. So the grace is coming from your own self, Atma Kripa. If yourself you are not interested, then what use? So being interested in it itself is a process of grace. So many lives you have lived through, you are not interested. Once interest has developed, it is a tremendous operation called Atma Kripa. Then Atma Kripa leads you to Guru Kripa. Once that interest has developed, now we are looking for proper guidance. And if your interest is sincere, you will connect yourself with someone authentic. If your interest is not sincere, that means your Atma Kripa is lacking, then in that case, you will be guided by many gurus, but not for liberation. For many siddhis and powers and many concepts of your progress, what you think your progress is. And the last kripa is called Shastra Kripa. Now led by Guru's teachings, scriptures now open up insight. When you read the scripture, you gain guidance and you follow the path. So all these 4 graces begin to operate when your purity starts. So first thing operated in him is Atma Kripa. He developed internal interest. Second, Ishwar Kripa provided the Guru. Guru from far away suddenly comes to him. He didn't have to go anywhere. And that Guru is Mandavya. King Suraku said, "O sage, I am immensely delighted with your auspicious presence. Surely the merits of my past actions have borne fruit in the form of your divine presence. My mind is afflicted with numerous worries. Please impart spiritual instruction to me, who am sinking in the darkness of illusion. Please enlighten me that I may be endowed with equal vision." So Suraghu is asking to possess a mind that is enlightened. And Guru has come. The fact is, all things happen in a divine plan. It may seem to you that you looked for Guru for a long time and worked hard. But by God's grace, whether you looked hard and fine or whether you looked soft and fine, it is an operation of grace. And Shastra Kripa implies same scriptures, you read it and you have hardly any insight, very little inspiration. So you go running from one scripture to another to collect a lot of inspiration. But when you are spiritually advancing by the grace of God, scripture now itself becomes a source, opens up a big door. Hardly you read few stanzas of the Gita and you go deep. So, following this plan, Mandavya has come to the king. Guru Kripa has started operating. Mandavya replied, "O king, just as mist is dispersed by the warmth of the sun, in the same manner, delusions of mind are dispersed by knowledge. By taking recourse to self-effort, you should cultivate virtues such as dispassion, discrimination, and self-control. Then allow your intellect to bloom into intuition through listening to the scriptures, reflection upon their teachings, meditation upon the self. By doing so, your mind will become invulnerable to the afflictions of the world." Now, lots of things are summarized in this, and I will now explain them more in detail. Two things are important: your qualification and your sadhana plan. Qualification is called Vairagya Chatushtaya, beginning with dispassion. Vairagya Chatushtaya, 4 points. Vairagya, dispassion. Viveka, discrimination. Shat Sampat, 6-fold qualities, beginning with Shama. Shama is serenity. Dhamma, control of mind and senses. Uparati, no longer interest in staying with the world. Your interest goes after going up. Uparati, attaining liberation. So Shama, Dhamma, Uparati. Titiksha, having strength to endure challenging situations. Wait and watch. That quality comes in you. Otherwise, you only want to watch. No wait. Titiksha. Also, it implies ability to endure, bear with things that seem thorny, pinching, painful, to be able to endure with patience. Next one called Shraddha, faith. Turn to your own faith. If your mind becomes calm, you must realize deep within you have profound interest in three things. Satchit Ananda. You want to exist. That's, nobody has to tell you. It comes from within yourself. Second one, you want to know everything. That also nobody has to inspire you. It comes. Even with animals and birds, they're always eager to know how things are. Where is dal cooking? Yes. That's the interest of the flies. And everyone wants to be happy. Satchit Ananda. That's every soul is profoundly involved with discovering its essential nature, which is Satchidananda. So if that type of faith develops, as you become more purified, early stage your faith is mixed up with the mist of illusion. So when you think of existing all the time, you turn to your body to exist. Think of knowing, now it turns your mind to intellectual knowledge. And it turns to Ananda, it again becomes illusion of going after various relations, objects, pleasures. So all the three urges are being distorted. But when purity starts, these three urges begin to aid your vichar movement. Who am I? I am Satchit Ananda. Just as with the advent of winter, clouds begin to disperse in the sky, in the same way, by the practice of inquiry, the doubts of the mind are dispersed, and the firmament of the heart becomes free of the scorching heat of afflictions. But first let me conclude on those points that I have said. 4 points: Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampat. 4th, Mumukshutva. Mumukshutva means burning, literal meaning burning aspiration for God realization. That burning term is just like we use burning hunger, Jataragni. It doesn't burn you up. But if the fire of digestion is awakened, it is a healthy development. But the word fire is used in Ayurveda. Similarly, with the fire of knowledge, your thirst for attaining liberation. It's like if your soul has a stomach, This Jatragni, fiery stomach for attaining liberation. That's 4 points. Next 4 points, as you are developing these qualities, your involvement, your real practice is 4-aspected. Shravana. Allow your ears to become a channel to bring you knowledge of God, knowledge of Brahman. Allow your ears to have a channel for receiving Bhadram Karne Bhushunyama Deva, all that is Bhadram, all that will inspire you, enrich you. Your ears play a tremendous part in this world. Do not let your ears just bring in all the junk of the world. To develop that type of listening movement. In the diffused state of mind, even though you are hearing big teachings, you are actually listening to your own ego. Your ego starts saying, oh, I heard those teachings before. Nothing new in it. What a frustrating thing. The idea is we are not listening. Listening requires certain calmness and certain degree of detachment from your ego and deeper interest in your soul. Then you begin to, listening becomes a tremendous secret. And listening doesn't always mean you are listening to talks. Listening term becomes allegorical. Nature is breeze blows. You are listening. Birds sing. You are listening. And what are we listening to? Listening to the glory of the divine presence. The whole world is glorifying God. But ears have very little holes. O king. No, but let's now, first I said Shravana. After, as listening goes on, the next stage comes manana. Now you begin to assimilate it. What you listen, your mind enjoys it, mind holds, creates a deep impression in your subconscious about what you have listened to. And then, each time you meditate, you draw from it, and you chew upon it, like chewing the cud. Go on assimilating, reflecting again and again, until it becomes fully understood by you. You become strengthened by what you have listened to. Third state, nididhyasana. Now, as a result of listening, your mind has undergone a transformation. Instead of staying with Vishaya Vritti, thought waves that are moving towards objects of the world, led by your ego, things that please you, you're constantly thinking about. Now, your thought process is trying to go after the truth. Just like, put it in a very simple way, you are by the ocean and you are focused on different waves, and every wave has a strange story. Now when you have nididhyasana state, you are allowing your mind to become so calm that instead of your mind being focused on a part of the ocean, you are thinking of the entire ocean. And all waves are understood by when you understand the ocean itself. The waves are not seen different. Ocean becomes your reality. Nididhyasana implies your mind goes after the source of all. Another term is that use samadhi. Samadhi in different stages. And that leads to the fourth step, revelation, sakshatkar, intuitional knowledge. And with this, we conclude for today. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukum Bandhanan Mrityor Mushyamamritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhave Om Shanti 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 Om Hari Om Tat Sat.